Hello everyone, I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to the Audio Analyst. Pardon me. First, my apologies for not having an episode last week. However, I'm hoping you'll be understanding when you learn what prevented me from delivering it. And by the way, I intend to create one next week to get back on schedule. But as busy as I normally am, I simply had to find the time to set aside 4 days for travel and production in order to cover the most significant product launch of 2021. I was honored to be invited for a private, extended audition of Louis Desjardins' latest creation, his all-out assault on LP playback, the KRONOS Discovery Turntable, launched in the last week of August. It is the result of a comprehensive and extensive re-examination and revisiting of every single design parameter and technique that had been implemented with the original pioneering KRONOS Limited Edition Pro. And his focus has been honing and perfecting this remarkable event replication device over the past 2 years. The KRONOS Discovery Full Monty includes this completely new $100,000 contra-rotational platered turntable. Its distinctively reimagined $17,500 chronoscope pickup arm. Its noiseless $20,000 supercapacitor power supply. The KRONOS $45,000 dual mono tubed phono stage with external power supply. And its inclusive, custom-built $15,000 isolation stand. While this whole system comes in at just under $200,000, you may order a la carte, for instance, purchasing just the Discovery, Chronoscope, and SCPS for a paltry $137,500. It's staggering. It is my honor and complete pleasure to be able to share my experiences with what I believe to be the new milestone in reference level LP playback. Guys, with something on the order of 20 hours of listening, using over 24 of my own personal records, I took about 30 pounds of records with me. I can say that its level of performance completely resets the bar for what can be achieved sonically with the playback of LPs in a hyper audio 2-channel system. Now, the conversation you are about to see between Bill Parrish, the U.S. KRONOS importer, and me was recorded in what is referred to as the Big Room at GTT Audio and Video in Long Valley, New Jersey, after only my initial 3 hours or so of listening. Now, at that point, guys, I was still reeling from the staggeringly elevated degree of performance I was hearing. So I apologize now for the looming sense of awe and my inability to articulately express my impressions of what I was hearing. I simply had not yet found the vocabulary to describe what I was hearing. That said, up next is our emotionally charged discussion. And when it's finished, I'll be back to offer a more lucid description of what I heard from this benchmark-setting event replication machine. Watch. Hey everybody, as I indicated, we're here in Long Valley, New Jersey, about 45 minutes west of New York City, Manhattan, and we're in GTT Audio's Big Room. Don't worry, you'll get to see a video of that very soon. It's coming. In fact, Bill was kind enough to let us do a tour of all his audio spaces here in the building. It's a pretty nice place. But today, as promised, the Discovery, the new table from KRONOS. This is Louis' latest achievement. It took him about, 2 years of honing. He took the Pro and said, how can I make it better?
He looked at everything.
Yeah.
Everything. This uses different bearings, some different materials in different places, a different checkpoint. The Pro had a double check system for speed control.
Okay.
This has a new speed control.
Well, it went from optical to magnetic, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It did. It still has on the bottom of each motor a crystal strobe
Okay.
that measures each rotation of the motor 60 times.
A second. A rotation.
60
times a rotation.
per rotation.
So at 33 and a third RPM, that'd be times 60, 33 and yeah, holy crap.
Yeah.
So it's accurate. It's accurate. That's
It's
what you're saying.
accurate.
Yeah,
We've got a new, a completely new logic board, a new supercapacitor power supply. The former AC to DC converter on the Pro for the SCPS used that little box. This is the AC.
I don't know if
to
we can
DC.
see that in the camera right now. We'll get there'll be pictures of it.
Massive AC, the DC converter that has super caps in it
as well.
Yeah.
But dude, everything's different. Material-wise, the platters are different. Different bearings.
Yeah.
We've gone to a double drive or a double belt system on the platters. That's crazy.
He uses a zirconia washer on the bottom of the dry bearing.
Oh wow.
I mean, just everything's been thought of. Yeah.
And then we have the chronoscope.
And we have the new arm, the chronoscope.
Yeah.
And that's changed quite a bit, and how the bearing is.
Oh, some close-ups of that on the screen while we're talking about it.
The pivot point is quite different and changed there. The supports, you see how they're angled out, which is completely different than how the Pro was.
Yeah.
There's, while it's still a Kronos, there's no question about it. It's a quite an improved Kronos, which you've heard.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a second. But essentially, folks, one of the things that you may inadvertently want to be thankful for was the lockdown because of COVID. Because Louis was restricted. Instead, he normally wouldn't have had time to do this because he travels so much.
That's right.
He's all over the world. He's in Asia a lot, in Europe, but this came about because he was kind of stuck, and he's like, I've been wanting to do this anyway. And guys, I got to tell you, when you see this thing, first of all, visually, if it doesn't knock you out, I don't think you're alive visually. But sonically, I got to tell you, I've been doing this for 45, 50 years. Okay.
Yep.
I started playing with turntables before I could drive a car. Much younger than that, actually. And I've heard some decent tables. I've been here for some launches of. Well, we had the Pro. I own the Sparta. And there's a good chance that they're going to let me trade my Sparta in on a Pro. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, but, we've got a few Pros being traded in for
and
these guys.
I'm going to take advantage of that upgrade option. So
we normally don't do trades on trades, but
we'll see what happens. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to give away any news.
For this guy, we may do it.
So yeah, but the sonic result of this, most people would probably say, well, yeah, I'm sure it's better. Well, it's not just better. I mean, guys, you know me, you know what I like, you know what I've been talking about for decades now. This thing is such an entirely different emotional and musical experience. Louis was talking about it, and I think one of the ways he best captured how, and I haven't captured it like that yet, he said it's more like listening to the live feed from the microphones than hearing it master tape. And I would have said earlier that this is at least as close to a master tape as you're going to hear from a turntable. But he's more correct. It's like you're hearing live music. I could not believe it, guys. I know that sounds like hyperbole. It's not. When you get a chance to hear this, you'll understand. But I brought, about 35 pounds worth of records?
I cannot believe what this guy got off the airplane with.
Yeah, I'm a little crazy. And Bill's been gracious enough to let me play almost all of it. We still have a little bit of time. We're doing this before I have to leave. But the experience last night, we played a record that's pretty powerful to both of us. The Super Trent 1974 release, Crime of the Century. And I have the UHQR MoFi release, which is, we've tried it against the 40th anniversary, we've tried it against the originals. It's just, this is the best version of that recording. And we both sat wrapped. And there were occasional grunts and oh my gods falling out of our mouth.
Yeah.
But we didn't talk to each other. We just absolutely listened to this. The performances on this are staggering. We played some classical, and I'm going to spin a piano sonata, a Beethoven piano sonata, at the end of this video, so you can get a chance to hear some version of what this room sounds like. You're never going to hear what this sounds like on any video you watch, but people want it. I'm going to do it for them. You're limited to what your equipment plays back, but you can differentiate differences if you do it. So we'll play something for you because it's spectacular. The classical music in this room, I mean, it's insane. And of course, it's recording specific. We know.
Yeah.
But when it's right, it is phenomenal.
Like life size.
And I put up a Facebook post, if you guys follow me, when the day I got here, the Wednesday that I got here, I put up a thing that says, this is the new standard for LP playback in a 2-channel system, period. And the easiest way to describe it, guys, I won't say the easiest way. To me, that right now, the only way I can describe it, and that may change, the immediacy that you hear, when you listen to things, the space that you hear is just recreated here so much more dimensionally. Individuality. Okay, so if you've got 5 backing vocals, they're all singing together. Normally you hear a group of 5 people singing. Here, you hear 5 voices singing together, not a group of 5 people. That's maybe a tough distinction, but I think you get what I mean.
Yeah.
The individuality, the separation, the space, the air, especially the microdynamic involvement and the depth and the acoustic of the recording has never been better presented in my entire life of listening. And I don't normally go for the hyperbole, guys, you know that, but this is just a staggering result. Louis has knocked one completely. Well, the last 2 times he's done it out of the park. This is just insane. This is so good. Bill, what do you want to add? Is there anything that you want to talk about that I mean, because we can talk about how this sounds all day long. It's insane.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to go I mean, we talked about how everything's changed. I don't think we need to give a menu, a parts menu. So I think you've really covered it. I don't think I can add anything. I mean,
cool.
It's the most incredible audio component I've ever heard. It reproduces music better in my room and in this space,
than we've ever heard here.
Which you know, I mean, this is my place, so I know it inside and out. And I've never heard a better source, but I've never heard a better record player. But I don't like the pigeonhole.
And it's beyond that.
I think it's the finest component I've ever heard. There's nothing. I have some serious stuff, as you know.
Yeah, he's not kidding.
I have some very serious stuff. I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, every one of them changed my world.
Yeah.
That's in this room.
Yeah.
But nothing as profound as this. This goes beyond. I knew it was better than the Pro. I heard that a year and a half ago at Louis,
you were hearing the
and
Pros,
I've been locked out of Canada and couldn't come out. But I heard it when it had 20% of the changes versus the Pro. And at that point, I knew it was significantly better than the Pro.
Yeah.
And then he went and changed 80% more of it to come up with this. I was expecting good things.
Sure.
I was not expecting what this does. The records, the reproduction, to the quietness, the dynamics, the scale. It is completely visual.
Well, I said it last night. We were listening to. It was cinematic.
Yeah.
Listening to certain records was like watching a film. And the way I want to describe this, it's not just better, okay? You know, some things are a little better. This is a totally wholesale improvement. It's as if you've got an entirely new perspective on music. It's so much better than anything I've ever heard. I mean, I don't have the words to describe it yet, okay? So hopefully by the time I do the review for this, we'll totally get more out of it. But
we'll talk about the hyperbole of...
Yeah, it's just...
but we've said it before, naturalness, it's more real. This is all of that, but it's as if we need a new vocabulary to describe what this can do.
This thing takes 18 steps closer towards authentic.
This does put you in Music Verein. This does put you in Carnegie Hall.
It's
phenomenal. This is... It puts you in the Village Vanguard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's It is
far away the most authentic playback system I have ever... I'm talking master tapes too, guys. This is the most authentic playback system I've ever heard. I wish I could afford one, but you get an opportunity to go hear this at a show, get your butt out and go listen to this. It will change, or don't, because if you can't afford one...
We may make it dealer only and never make it available at a show.
Yeah. Oh, well, never mind that. But guys, look, I'm so excited about this. I'm so happy to be allowed to bring you part of the launch and be part of this launch, because Louis has been doing, in my opinion, the best LP playback for the last decade plus. at this point.
Yes.
And this just shows he ain't done yet.
No.
I can't imagine where he's going to go from this, but let's give him another decade, see what he comes up with. Guys, this is spectacular. I hope you've enjoyed this. Go out and read more about it. There's a ton. I'm sure this is, we're fairly early.
Let me just add that with other super tables on the market today, this is a fraction of the price.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No.
There are tables out there that say they're $430,000 and you can buy them for $200. I mean, pricing doesn't mean squat anymore. Yeah. Yes, this is a pricing piece. Yeah, but I'm just saying, retail pricing isn't really a measuring. It's not something used for a yardstick. It doesn't mean.
There's a lot of companies that
price crazy.
They're playing games.
They are.
They're playing games.
Now this is not cheap, but this is less than a fourth of the price of the one I was just talking about, and it's way more than 4 times better than that one, in my opinion. This is staggeringly good. I know. Shut up. You're rambling, but it's so bloody good. It's so bloody good, guys. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you get a chance to hear this. I don't know if that'll happen, but if the opportunity ever presents itself to go listen to this.
We have dealers.
Oh yeah,
I handle it in the Northeast directly.
True. Yeah.
So yes, we want people to hear it, but we want people to seek it out.
Yeah, it's a spectacular piece, guys.
It's a destination product.
It's more than a destination product. Yeah. It is the most authentic piece of audio equipment. Certainly, far and away, source-wise, but overall, it is as close to authentic music as I've yet heard. Any device play anything back, record, LP, tape. Anything. So
great.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Greg.
My pleasure, Bill. It's always good seeing you, buddy. Thanks.
You too. Goodbye.
All right, we'll talk to you guys soon. So I'm sure you could see how emotional and inspired I was from our listening up to that point. But now, with some time to reflect and focus, I can tell you that from the first needle drop, it was staggeringly apparent that Discovery's singular sonic voice was not just better. To my ears, it presented an entirely fresh and previously unattainable level of musical experience. A new pinnacle of expressiveness and communication. One so articulate, so informative, so inspiring, that it was more than merely revelatory. It bordered on transformative. I know this may raise a few eyebrows, but it repeatedly transcended the sound of master tape playback. Really. The signature sound it routinely delivers is the most removed I've ever heard from the sensation that you are listening to a recording. It is the closest approximation I've yet heard to hearing a live performance in a real space, bar none. First, Discovery is so silent. Now, While this was a very apparent and welcomed attribute of the Pro, and even of the Sparta that I've used for the last 6 years now, Discovery presents with such an amazingly black, stark background, yielding a noise floor so decidedly defeated that it is all but imperceptible. Recording permitting, Discovery exhibits this incredible ability to more finely differentiate and reveal the ever so specific size and locality, and with some recordings, even the shape of each and every instrumental voice it regenerates. Everything on an LP is so much more completely rendered and so uniquely individualized. And I don't mean artificially spotlight, etched, or in any way unnaturally presented, that my jaw falls slack. Recordings I've had for some 50 years, the original 1970 UK Dick James music pressing of Elton John's third studio release, Tumbleweed Connection, for example, are rendered with a newfound individuality and specificity of the voices of the background vocalists or the strings or horns of the inspired Paul Buckmaster arrangements, allowing it to expose an entirely newfound and highly emotional perspective on the performance. Now, don't let my zeal over its superior voice specificity and recovery of previously masked detail from LP grooves lead you to believe that there is any artificiality, etching, deviant, or contrived aspect to its voice. As revealing and articulate as it is, at the same time, it renders all this in an utterly natural envelope, with the most organic, broadband ease of presentation I've yet heard from any playback system. When I played my 1994 DCC remastered reissue of Elton John's 1971 release, Madman Across the Water, the body of the piano, the newfound vocal clarity and focus, even cymbal lucidity and air, was presented with previously unrevealed intelligibility and specificity. Songs like the title track and the opener on side 2, Indian Sunset, were like cinematic experiences, not songs. This was not just marginally or even clearly better sound. It embodied an entirely new, accentuated, and more realistic, emotional, and listening event than I have ever experienced. I know it sounds like hyperbole, but I'm telling you, it's staggering. The 1977 RCA Audio Technica 45 RPM release of Beethoven's Piano Sonata No. 23 in F minor, the Appassionata, features Akuyo Kamaya putting a Bosendorfer Imperial Concert Grand through its paces. Now, this record has been known to distress any number of excellent playback systems, as it alternates from a mere whisper to a full-on explosive thunder. Yet with this nearly impossible test of dynamic capabilities, both micro and macro, Discovery never betrayed even a hint of compression, minimization, or slurring of musical scaling, even at concert hall playback levels. Rather, it unpacked and reconstructed this event more vibrantly and authentically than I have ever heard it recreated. Listening to voices as chilling and powerfully expressive as that of David Bowie's, as captured on the 12-inch UK 45 RPM single Cat People Putting Out Fire, was beyond just frightfully vivid and honest. The four voices and blues harps of Carrie Bell, Billy Branch, James Cotton, and Junior Wells, each so genuinely conveyed and individualized across the stage, left to right and front to back, on cuts like Down Home Blues from the 1990 Alligator release Harp Attack, were recreated so convincingly, so faithfully, it was as if these four Chicago bluesmen were in the room. You know, I could go on and on describing the indisputable corporal reality to the finger snaps in Ricky Lee Jones' Chuck E's in Love from the 2013 MoFi reissue of her eponymous release, The Space and Power of the Fourth Movement, the Ode to Joy, on the 1981 MoFi reissue of the Schulte CSO Beethoven's Ninth. But I think you've gotten the picture by now. What Louis Desjardins has achieved with the dozens of individual improvements, redesigns, and advances implemented to create the Discovery, leveraging applied materials sciences, different isolation and stabilization methods, innovations to motors, controllers, motion feedback and monitoring systems, as well as the enhancements in bearing strategy, application and materials, and a distinctively reimagined tone arm approach, including its pivot and geometrical alignment schema, represents a wholesale advance and a new standard for the recovery of information from the long-playing record. Folks, in my experience, this system establishes an entirely new standard, and by a rather notable margin. In fact, the KRONOS Discovery may just be the finest audio component I have ever had the pleasure of auditioning. One that, in my opinion, has unleashed a new level of musical experience and communication, establishing an innovative, high-water benchmark for LP playback. In my experience, it has set a new point of reference. It is stunning. If you get a chance to hear it, go hear it. I don't know if they're going to take it to shows. It's kind of pricey for show coverage, but make an appointment with Bill. See if you can hear one. With that, if you are enjoying the content and information presented here, please click that subscribe button. Be sure to like and share links with your friends and on social media and post comments or questions. Ways to support the channel may also be found at today's description section or at my website, theaudioanalyst.com. Thanks again for finding the time to drop by and visit today. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.